Next, let's talk about how to style image elements. So I went ahead and added a profile image called profile.jpg that I included in my HTML. So let's go into our style.css and apply a few rules to our image element. And the first thing that I'm going to do, of course, is select the image element. Then I'm going to add some margin to the top of the image as well as to the left of the image, and this will kind of center it on our web page. And then finally what I'm going to do is add a border radius of 50%, and we'll see what effect this has on our image when we reload it in our browser. By default, the image is square and positioned in the top left of our web page, but let's see what happens when we reload it. Now we have margin both to the top and to the left, and that border radius of 50% gave it a circular look. There's another type of image that we're going to be concerned about in our web applications that aren't placed in image tags. And those types of images are background images. And we can actually add background images to our web pages without any HTML, exclusively through CSS. And here's how we do it. We select the element that we want to add our background image to. So in this case, I'm going to select the body element. And then we set the property called background image to the URL of our image. And the URL can either be an href to an image on the web, or it can be a relative path to an image in our application directory. Now we're going to run into a few problems if we simply set the background image to be the image as is. And the biggest problem is that it's not going to be the right size we want, and to compensate for that, it's going to repeat until it fills up the entire page. So it'll look kind of weird. And to fix these problems, we're going to do two things. First, we're going to set the background repeat property to no repeat, and then we're going to set the background size property to cover. And the no repeat property will prevent the browser from repeating our image in order to cover up the size of the screen or the viewport. And setting the background size to cover is going to expand the image to cover the full size of our viewport. And then lastly, we're going to set the position of our background to center. And this will do exactly what it says, center the image in our viewport. And there are other values we can place here like left or right, which I encourage you to play around on your own. But for now, let's see what effect this has on our web page. So let's refresh our web page and see that we have this nice background image centered and fully covering the size of our viewport. And what's great about this is it's actually responsive to the size of our viewport. So as our viewport shrinks, the background image also shrinks with it, but it remains centered across the viewport as we change our screen size. So it's kind of our first example even of mobile responsiveness.